Good morning and welcome to Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living. We're a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. And Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. Our promise here is to reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional lands and waters and unceded lands and waters of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. In a similar fashion, we acknowledge how much of what we know in this country today, including its culture, economic growth, and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants who suffered the horrors of transatlantic trafficking, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toiled with little recognition. We are indebted to their labors and sacrifices, and we acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations and resulting impacts that can still be felt and witnessed today. Please join me for our opening song, In This Very Room by Ron and Carol Harris. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. Oh, Spirit, Spirit is in this very room. In this very
This one's
It's like glasses.
well, good morning, everyone. Let us prepare for this morning's meditation. Yes, that sounds good, Jeffrey. By allowing ourselves to get comfortable in our seats. And removing everything from our laps. Placing our feet firmly on the floor. Hands in our lap in an open and upright position. And allowing our eyes to close. So let us take 3 deep cleansing breaths in and out together. So let's breathe in. And let it go. Breathe in again. And let it go. And one more time in. And let it go. And just allow your breath to return to its normal pattern. In and out. And with each breath, getting more and more relaxed. Just letting everything go. everything that's happened up until this moment, and any anticipation of what will happen from this moment on. Just being here in this perfect, perfect present moment. And so today, we're going to be investigating boundaries. And a boundary is described or defined as something that indicates a limit or an extent. It's something that indicates a limit or an extent. So let us look at our own lives and look at places where we have boundaries. Boundaries that are uplifting us, boundaries that are serving us. Bring those to mind, those boundaries. They can be boundaries imposed that we've imposed on other people. They can be boundaries that we've imposed upon ourselves. Look at those healthy boundaries. And so let's look at areas of our lives that could use some boundaries. It could be something as simple as a conversation with a friend where it's all about them and never about you. It could be times when you wanted to say no, but you said yes. Or you wanted to say yes, but you said no. So look at areas in your lives that could use some boundaries, healthy boundaries. It could be toward others. It could be to yourself. Where in your life could you use more boundaries? So as we allow ourselves to come back into this room, back into this space, we come back with the knowingness that at any time we can set up healthy boundaries, for they are here to serve us and the entire planet. And so it is. So guess what my reading is about? Woo-hoo. Really? You're so good. You took a wild guess. Okay, well, that was a very, very good guess. So the title of you have something you want to share with the class? Okay. I don't know. I guess I couldn't resist. Anyway, the title of the the reading is The Spiritual Side of Boundary Setting, plus 4 steps to help you set boundaries. All right. So many of us have been taught to give and give and give without question. Over time, as you probably know, this becomes exhausting and depleting. You might already have strong boundaries, or maybe you're realizing just now that you really need to set them, but you're afraid. If you've been waiting for a permission slip to create more boundaries in your life, consider this it. You are a powerful being, and you get to decide what is and is not acceptable to you in your life. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to speak up and stand up for yourself. This is the spiritual work of boundary setting. Boundaries are an important way of setting the terms of how it is and isn't okay for others to interact with you. And on an energetic level, they're a way of protecting your own energy. Because spiritual work isn't all pretty all the time, sometimes it's the deep, unglamorous work of digging into the roots of your heart and seeing what you truly need, and then telling people that no, you won't answer their DMs, or no, you won't do free work anymore, or no, you can't hold energetic support from them at this moment because you simply have nothing left to give. I saw Gabby Bernstein live last year, and during the Q&A portion of the night, a woman went up to the mic and told Gabby that she was feeling so spiritual these days. So spiritual, in fact, that all she wanted to do was lock herself in her room and meditate and read spiritual books. She said she was starting to resent her life, her kids, her work, her husband for taking her out of that. Gabby said, "Here's what you don't yet understand. Your life is your spiritual practice." That's always stood out for me. Meditating, ritual, yoga, tarot, all of the things we love, they can all be part of your spiritual practice, but they're not the spiritual practice. Your spiritual practice is how you treat people, how you treat yourself, how you move in the world, how you set boundaries. And since we're always evolving and growing, our boundaries are always evolving too. But this part is the spiritual side of boundary setting plus 4 steps. So we're going to get into the 4 steps. First, figure out what your boundaries are. How do you know which boundaries need to be set? How do you know when a boundary has been violated? Practice checking it in with your feelings. Boundary violation may manifest as making you feel powerless, confused, drained, disassociated, angry, or upset. When you feel that way, take an honest look and ask yourself, why? Did someone treat you in a way that's unacceptable to you? Did you perform free emotional labor that's leaving you drained? Are you speaking to yourself in a way that's hurtful? The second one is dig in and look at why you may struggle to set boundaries. Try these journaling questions. What did I learn as a child about the importance of being liked, going with the flow, and saying yes? Next question. What did I learn as a child about saying and hearing no? And the third question is, what am I afraid will happen if I set and stick with clear boundaries? And then the third is open your throat chakra. The state of your throat chakra is heavily associated with your ability to set and communicate clear boundaries. When your throat chakra is blocked, you might be afraid to stand up for yourself and be seen or fear being judged for the boundaries you set. And then the fourth is communicate clearly. Once you've done the work in steps 1 through 3, this step should come more easily. Just remember, when you're communicating your boundaries, to stand firm. You can speak your boundaries with love and compassion without apologizing, feeling guilty, or making them feel optional. Be as clear, honest, and direct as you can. Remember, you have to set that boundary clearly with yourself before you can communicate it to anyone else. You've heard it before, but I'll say it again. Saying no creates a space for your big yes to come. And I'm going to read that again because when I read this the other day, it just resonated for me. So it's for me, probably not for you, but you get to hear it again. Okay. Saying no creates a space for your big yes to come in. Whether that's relationship with people who treat you well, a job that fulfills your soul, or something else, setting boundaries aren't just about saying no. It's about saying yes to only the things that feel good to you and light up your soul. What's your relationship with boundary setting? Now's a perfect time to take a look. And so it is. You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. Oops. Going to say this 3 times. Oh no, 3 times? Okay. Okay. Is my voice? Pardon? Oh, no.
We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. He's got the song. He just
I'm saying yes, 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 yes to life. I'm saying yes, 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 yes to life. I'm saying yes, 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 yes to life. I'm saying yes, 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 yes. Woo! Yes to life. I'm saying yes to life right now. Yes, yes. The spirit of love within me is expressing itself right now. The spirit of joy within me is expressing itself right now. What are we gonna create today? The universe is ready to play. Yes, spirit surely will lead the way. Yes, if you just say yes. I'm saying yes, 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 yes to life. Ooh, I'm saying yes, 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 yes to life. I'm saying yes, 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 yes to life. I'm saying yes, 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 yes. Woo! Yes to life. I'm saying yes to life right here, right now. Yes. The spirit of life within me is expressing itself right now. The spirit of light within me is expressing itself right now. Whatsoever you conceive, if you believe it, you can achieve it. The universe will always agree if you just say yes. I'm saying yes. Saying yes. I'm saying yes. Saying yes, 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 yes. I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes. Yes to life. I'm saying yes. Yes, 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 yes. Woo. Yes to life. Oh, I'm saying yes to life. Oh, let me hear you say it. Say it, say it, say it, say it. Let me hear you say it, say yes, yes, I'm yes, yes, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Say it, say it, say it, say it. Let me hear you say it, say it, say it. Yes to life, yes to life. I'm saying yes to life.
Well, good morning, Northern Lights.
Good morning.
It's good to be here. It's good to see you all. And those of you on Zoom, thank you for joining us today. So you probably all know I'm the Reverend Pamelagrace. And here's a thought. The boundaries we set are the measure of the respect we have for ourselves. So picture this. There she is, working in her office. Everybody else has gone home. And she's still there working. And then come the weekend, and she's back on Saturday from 8 to 12. New scene. There she is. She's going out with the love of her life. They're going on a special date. And at the end of the dinner, he says, oh, I forgot my wallet again. New scene. Her good friend is promoted. And they're working together. They've been working together for a long time. And now her new boss, who was the old friend, says, "Darling, go get me some coffee, a little bit of cream. And when you come back, please take my flip chart to the workshop room." Okay.
The hissing inside his cave.
Now that's never happened, those kinds of things to any of you, right? Maybe yes, maybe no. Something like it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, those are all mine. And with the wallet guy, I actually said to him, how did I teach you to treat me like that? And by the way, the second time I didn't pay for dinner, I was like, we're gonna wash dishes together because I ain't paying. He found a card.
That's great that you had one tucked away.
So I can't blame anybody else for those situations. And by the way, I did get my new boss coffee. I did not carry her flip chart. I was going down to get coffee anyway. And I was like, no boss has ever asked me to carry their flip chart. Why am I going to carry yours? I don't think so.
I'm sorry, what you do is your hand.
So the question becomes, and Stephanie brought it up in her reading. Thank you for that, Stephanie. The question comes up, why do we let this happen? What's the fear behind it? There's a fear behind it. Maybe, with the new boss, maybe I was afraid she'd get mad at me. She wouldn't like me. Maybe she'd fire me. And so beneath that fear was the belief that this was the only job I'd ever have or could get, or, it was a while ago. I know there was a list of stuff going on that made me nervous about standing up to her. With the wallet guy, no telling. The one thing was clear, I had the wrong person in my life. Stephanie mentioned, how do you know where to set your boundaries when things don't feel right, when it's unpleasant, when somehow or another it's stepping on your toes? And in this case, it's clear he doesn't really appreciate the magnificence of who I am. So respecting ourselves, being willing, here's the good one, to release our concern about other people's opinion of us. Now that's big. Sit with that for a second. And again, we could do a whole lot of unpacking around that, but just the very essence of, if I stand up for myself, this person is going to react in a way I don't like, I don't want, I'm afraid of. I have sometimes run into a situation where people feel they are entitled to disrespect me. And they don't see it as disrespecting. It's like Stephanie said in her reading, you have to look at what is important to you. Where are your boundaries? And I will admit that I don't have a list of my boundaries, really, but I know when they've just been crossed. Okay, no. So it is good to be able to have some idea of what doesn't work for you, like guys that take me out on a date and don't you remember their wallets. That's a clear boundary, your history right on the spot.
Then there are these other things where you'll have to depend on how you're feeling, what's coming up for you, what that brings for you. And in my case, I have to examine it. I'm kind of on the analytical side. I'm like, okay, what's going on with me? Why am I reacting to that? Yeah, I go there. So sometimes I don't respond quickly enough to the cross the boundary. And when that happens too often, where someone is crossing my boundary, I do have an extreme reaction, which is either to blow up or go away. The fight flight syndrome. Now we have some choices around that. We can tell folks, oh, that's not working for me. I was just telling Reverend Vaughn and Reverend Michael, I was a guest vocalist at a gig last night. Their vocalist canceled at the week of the event. And so they needed somebody to just come in really fast. I never rehearsed with these folks. We got up, I got up, they'd start the song and I'm like, what's the key? Where's my note? Because I didn't get any information. Usually I get like a little bit of an introduction in the music and then I know my note and I can move right in. They didn't do that. Crossed a boundary. So on the third song, I said, somebody give me my note. You, keyboard player, give me my note. And the keyboard player said, he has to give it to you, the saxophone player. Okay, there's a little issue with saxophones. I don't identify with the notes they play.
Oh, no.
They're in a particular range and realm, sound-wise, where it doesn't translate to my voice, which is this voice, and the saxophone is like that. And so the keyboard is my mainstay, but in this band, the saxophone player is the leader. And I said, well, then you give me my note. I'm not singing until I get a note. We're in front of the people having this discussion. Fortunately, it was a very loud restaurant and they were busy chatting and so on. And so they really couldn't hear what I was saying. They could probably see what I was saying. I don't think I was smiling. Give me my note. Now, I got my note from then on, but I had to ask for it each time. I had 3 more songs. Like, nope, who's giving me my note? Not singing until I get a note. Clear boundary. No note, no song. Sometimes our boundaries aren't as clear. And sometimes frequently there's the fear of what's going to happen if we say no. What's going to happen if we say, I'm going out of the door or you're going out of the door? What's going to happen if we say, I quit, not playing? Or what's going to happen if we say, get your own darn coffee? I'm not your maid. What's going to happen? And that's where a little analysis has to come in. You know, what's going on with us that we are afraid to say no? My sisters mentioned this little girl who, when she doesn't want to do something, she just says, no, thank you. And I love that. I'm like, that's very sweet. And it's calm and it's not combative. And it doesn't carry all the energy I might carry with that. So I'm trying to move into a place where I can simply say, no, thank you. But I'm still in the no stage, but I'm working on it. There's hope. Where there's intention, there's hope, and there's always possibility. But a lot of it, the question is, how much do we respect ourselves? How much are we willing to put our money on ourselves? How much are we willing to stand up? We wouldn't let somebody else, that happen to somebody else. We'd be in there saying, girl, guy, you should have that. But over here, when it's us, we're like, I was watching a series And there was a scene with, she was Korean. She was American raised. Her family was Korean. And she was married to a white guy in Australia. The scene was set in Australia. And her mother-in-law was just taking swipes at her left and right. A little dig here, a little slap there, a little swipe. And finally, someone at the table, they were at dinner, said, "Will you please stop being mean to her?" And the young woman said, "Oh, it's okay." And I was thinking, no, it's not. No, it's not. You should get up and bip her. As I said, I'm still working on my no thanks. She never did get up and bip her. And the woman had her own issues. It really wasn't about the young woman, her daughter-in-law, who was a sweetheart. But I wondered, what was it about the daughter-in-law's background that made her decide it was okay for this mother-in-law to treat her like she was treating her? There was friction between the mother-in-law and the daughter's husband, her son. So maybe she didn't want to make that worse. Or maybe she simply wasn't used to standing up for herself. Or maybe she was used to those kinds of swipes because there weren't a lot of her people in that community at all. So maybe she had learned, keep my head down and just pretend I didn't hear that, and it'll stop. I'm sure nobody in this room ever does that. But I'm sure everybody in this room has done it once or twice in their lives. We all have. And there I was, I'm like, bipper, just reach out and punch her in the nose. She can't say that to you. You're a nice little thing. So we have to know what's important to us. So being able to hear the speaker, that's good. I like that. We also have to be brave enough to not only stand up for ourselves, but stand into ourselves. I told you my go-to response was flight or fight, nothing in between. I did learn that there are
also
other
freeze.
Hmm?
There's also freeze.
Freeze. Oh, freeze.
Fight, flight, or freeze.
Yes.
Those are the
Yes.
biologic.
And frankly, I sometimes I've frozen because I didn't expect it. And I'm like, and I go home and I think about it and I analyze it and I'm like, huh. So fight, flight, freeze. There are a few more. I was just saying my usual one is fight or flight. But we have other choices. That's where I'm going with this. Someone said, well, you know, things aren't always black and white. There's like a billion shades of gray. There are also, as we say, infinite possibilities. And I love it when I have been successful in exploring the possibilities. Okay, that's a no. Someone just said no, and they didn't say no, thank you. They said no. It's like, okay, that's a no. What about this or this? How about this? And if they're open to it, we can maybe find a path that works for us both. If they're not open to it, then I can wait and come back later. I was 100 years ago fighting for being able to wear afros beyond 1.5 inches in the airline when Angela Davis looked like Stephanie over there. And I was like, Angela Davis could come out with this head full of hair and you're telling us we can only wear this. And I said, only the guys wear their hair that short. Later, the guys started growing it out even more. I moaned and groaned and finally wrote the head of grooming. And I gave her all of these data points and a case for allowing women to have longer afros, along with it being more feminine and pretty and freeing and yeah. And they agreed. They agreed and let us have longer afros. We still couldn't get out to here like Stephanie and Angela, but we could at least get to here where it could shape our face and all of that. So it was a matter of, I gotta know, I gotta know, I gotta never gonna happen. I went to the top with my case written out. And she agreed. She just simply hadn't given it any thought other than lots of hair will scare white people. Sorry, white people. But yeah, the hair was scary back then. Ooh, look, it's a black woman with all that hair. Oh. Yeah, get over it. So they did. So back to, again, Stephanie pointed this out in the reading, we have to know what our boundaries are and what's important to us. And sometimes we'd be making stuff up. Like we say, okay, it's important to me to keep the peace. So I'm going to let this person be a horse's patootie to me to keep the peace. So what does that do for your horse's patootie? They get to gallop all over you. I'm a horse patootie and I'm gonna gallop. Little hoof marks all up and down your body because, or your psyche, because you are allowing this person to be a horse's patootie to you. Now, there is the other side of when you say, don't do that. I have seen reactions. Oh boy, have I seen reactions. Folks don't like it when you say, no. There's a little less of a reaction if you can say no, thank you, versus if you kind of say, no, absolutely not, because your reaction fuels the fire of their reaction. And so, but a quiet no, thank you, they can still react, and your no, thank you, and you're staying right in that energy. So not necessarily literally the words, but the energy. This is a boundary. That what you're doing is not acceptable to me. I'm not going for it. As I said, I'm still working on that one, but I do know that it can be very effective. Again, I'll go back 100 years in my past. When I first moved to New York, I looked like a little patsy. And so I had horses, paloopas, trying to gallop all over me. And I would say quietly, no, thank you. No, I don't want that. No, I'm not interested in you. I would say it politely because back then I was more polite. And the New Yorkers, who were used to more energy, would be in my face. Oh, no, yes, you're going to do. I'm like, no. So I realized that my no thank you was not effective. But I also knew that getting back in their face with the same energy wasn't going to be effective either. And plus I had to really work hard to dredge that energy out of me. So what I found to be effective was to stand in it. So instead of saying, no, thank you, I said, no, thank you. And I looked them in the eyes. And behind my eyes was, and if you push it, I'll rip your liver out. Yes, it was there. And when I did that, from New York to San Francisco, people backed away and left me alone. So I did have to stand in my energy. I couldn't just be a little shy, retiring violet. I had to. This is not working for me. Not working. Period. The end. That's standing in it. And you're not acting crazy, but you're clear. You're clear. Women have historically been more submissive than men, but that doesn't mean that men have not been put in that same situation. I've just observed myself, and I'm sure if you researched online, you find data to support it. Women tend to do a little more of a step back. It's why women are still being paid 3/4 of what men are being paid and getting promoted far less than men do. Again, going back in my 100-year past, when I was a flight attendant instructor, I was there when we first started hiring male flight attendants. And they told the male flight attendants that the supervisory track was short. And if they did their job right, they could be a supervisor soon. They never told a single female flight attendant that. Not a one. And when I heard that, I said, what? And if you did international, you will have noticed back in the day, a while ago, okay, the pursers on TWA's 707s, that'll give you a time period, 90% of them were men. Men. They had just started hiring female pursers when I flew, and I flew right out of college. Now, all a purser needed to do was be able to count the liquor money and speak more than one foreign language. That was it. There was nothing gender needed for that.
Testosterone did not support that
No,
language.
No. And I had 3 languages. So they had to change that. So going back to women, I think, and I've looked at this question for years and years and years, I think part of it is how we survived. You had to be able to step back with that male testosterone running wild. Somebody had to be able to allow stuff to happen and what have you. I think, and I still see it today, women stepping back. And I'm laughing because Stephanie said, how do I like being married? Now and then I have to step back. Mostly I don't. But I choose my battles. Okay, if he doesn't like dishes in the sink, fine, I'll wash the dishes. It's not a big deal. But if there's something that is closely connected to the who that I am and the beliefs that are important to me, it's a no, thank you. So as women, and since we have a number of women in the group, we could do a little more stepping up. I know there's one woman in here who doesn't have a problem stepping up. Just saying. But the rest of us, and there was something in there where in Stephanie's reading, this minding our boundaries, that is paying attention to what's important to us and where we need to draw lines. This is a practice for everybody. It's a practice. There's no there. I've gone back 100 years and I'm here today and I'm still working with managing how I ambulate in the world. And I have to tell you, I'm not sure this is directly connected, but it feels like it. So my husband is very used, he's Caucasian, you probably know that. He is very used to walking around in the world like he owns it. He walks into the room and he expects everybody's interested in what he has to say and that they're going to listen and greet him and want to know all about his projects. And when somebody doesn't, he is just distraught. They didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to sit next to me. They weren't paying attention to me. And I said to him, honey, you're not that important. You're just not. You're not. Welcome to my world. I walked into a whole bunch of rooms where nobody wanted me in there. Too bad. And that's what you can do. And he's getting better. Because he's walking into the rooms of my world. And I'm the one they're talking to, etc. And then they get around to talking to him. So he's beginning to understand that there's a world beyond my little pookie pie. He's beginning to understand that. It's so funny. But on the other hand, I was talking to a friend about how folks like that show up. And we both agreed that we don't show up enough like that, that we don't walk into a room often enough and expect to be heard and seen and considered and taken seriously. We don't do enough of that. So we've made a little pact that we'll work a little more on that. And it's interesting because in trying to do that, and especially on the island, I have met, I've talked to a lot of women because I've gone to things with Mike, and it's easier to talk to the women than the man. No offense, men, but you don't know whose toes you're going to step on when you're a woman talking to a man. Seriously, somebody's wife or girlfriend is going to say. So the women are safer. The women are safer. And I've been impressed with what these women have done. A lot of the folks are retired and they talk about their jobs and they were the CEO of this, or they ran that, or they created this. And I've just been so impressed. And then after a while, I'm like, I can bring something to the party. I wasn't a CEO, but I have my experiences and my successes. And I have found I've had to force myself into the conversation. Because if I have that air of, I'm ignored. I'm just there for them to be able to tell me how wonderful they were. These are the women. So with that pact that my friend and I made, I wait for them to take a breath. Sooner or later, they have to. And I come right in with something about my past, something in the moment. I did read a book once around working the room, and they said, go into any strange environment, situation where you don't know the folks, and have 3 questions to ask them, and have 3 data points to tell them about you. So I'm not that analytical about it, but I do have the questions, and I can find something to share about myself so that these successful women aren't running all over me and making the party not that much fun. And on top of that, I have gotten critiques from folks that I find out all about them, but I don't share enough about myself. So some folks actually care, but I've kept them talking. So, it's a dance. How this relates to boundaries, I'm going to be honest and tell you, I don't know, but it came to me, so I told you. What can I say? So, I have friends who have asked for what they wanted. I just watched them in amazement. You know, those folks, and I hope I don't step on any toes in the room here, who go to the restaurant and it's like, no, I don't want the salad dressing on the lettuce. I would like the salad dressing on the side, and I only want this much of it. And could you take the curly lettuce, the curly carrots off, and just add a few more bean sprouts and no pimento. I hate pimento. All of this on a salad. And I'm sitting there saying, yeah, I just have a salad. And I'll pick all that stuff off myself. But I have friends who will ask for what they want. My favorite friend, when I was a dancer in California, she didn't have a vacuum cleaner. So she called and said, could I borrow your vacuum cleaner? Sure. Can you bring it over Thursday? Okay. Okay, I'm done. Can you come back and get it? Girlfriend had a working car. So I told my other friends, or other dance friends, I said, when so-and-so asks you to borrow your vacuum cleaner, because she will not be borrowing mine anymore, let me tell you what's gonna happen, and then you'll know what you're saying yes to. She was also the one, when I made costumes, I volunteered for that, me with high school sewing ability. She was like, oh, no, this makes my shoulders too broad. I need to have it in a little, and I want it more flared. Okay, 2 years of that. And then other friends in the dance group were helping to sew, and we would fight over who wouldn't get her. We should have told her, girl, you are a pain in the patootie, stop it. But we didn't, because we didn't have the guts, and we didn't want to make her mad, and we didn't want to seem like bad team players. So we had quiet boundaries she knew nothing about. Another reason to let folks know what your boundaries are, because they don't know. They'll just think you're over there being stinky and inconsiderate. So, asking for what we want. There's a practice for everyone. This is Stephanie's homework. Life work. Start asking, start standing up for what you want. And don't crumple if you don't get it there. It's a process. It's a journey. I talked about the Afro because that was a journey. The first no, the second no, the third no, finally a yes. And I've seen that over the years, over and over again, in different surprisingly delightful ways, where I finally get a yes. But it's only because I persisted. I didn't let that first no stop me. So stepping out of the comfort zone, asking for what we want. That's part of respecting ourselves and saying we have the right to have what we want, saying we have the right to have the experience we want, saying we have the right to protect ourselves. We have the right to be celebrated for who we are. I love everybody in this room. I can say that because I know you, and I can say that. And there are more people out there loving you, but what's most important, I don't even have to say this, is it starts in here. And one of the ways it starts in here is being clear about how we work in the world and how we let the world treat us. Now, there may be places and times and moments that we have no control except ourselves, over ourselves. But there are other places and times where we can influence what's going on around us. More life work. Notice where you roll over. Where's your rollover place, experience, condition? person. What's your style? As I said, I'm aware mine is fight or flight and sometimes freeze. What do you do in the midst of upset? Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid is going to happen? I really like this one because what happens is we've got this boogeyman in our heads about this situation, and we're not clear on what the boogeyman looks like. We're not even clear the boogeyman is there. It's more of a feeling of analyze the what am I freaking out about? What am I afraid is going to happen? What am I afraid I'm going to lose or cause, like upset in the other person? And I want you to know that all of this is easier said than done. That's why I'm still working on it. What else have I got for you? Oh, and so as you're considering all of this, where is the spot where I roll over? What am I afraid of? What is the personal cost to you to allow what's happening to happen that you don't like? To allow person, situation, whatever, to cross your boundaries? What's the personal cost? Not so long in my past, I was in a job where, okay, I wasn't a fit. I was doing a really, really good job, but the management and I had different ideas on how to be in the world. I was actually doing a good job. My clients were happy. My management, not so much. But I was determined to stay there because they had run other people of color out of the department, and I wasn't going to let them run me out. What was the personal cost? My health. When I started to lose it physically, I was like, this is not a battle I need to take on. They're horses' patooties. I can't fix it. This is not my circus, not my monkeys. I need to go. And so I did, and I gave myself a consolation prize of a trip to New Zealand. That's when I went to New Zealand. It was wonderful. And what I learned from that is don't wait until you're up to your ears in pain and icky to treat yourself. Do it more often, which I do. I learned. So what's the personal cost? And then the final thing to add to your thinking and analysis. What's the worst thing that could happen? I could lose my job. That means I'll never get another job. I'm back to that old lady under the viaduct. You remember her? Yes.
The viaduct's not there anymore.
No,
It's not.
no,
There's no
no.
space for you.
It's gone. Actually, the one I was thinking of is still there, but you could hardly stay in it, under it. So what's the worst that could happen? And how likely is it? And what if it does happen? Then what? Are you going to die in the streets? Probably not. Being able to go down that path, analyze that, and then come back to what we believe in. There are infinite possibilities. There's a myriad of opportunity, and we are worthy. And so it is. So may I request that my practitioner come up and seal us in on that one. That our practitioner, not my practitioner.
Well, all of you know.
Thank you, Reverend Pamela. Right on time. Okay. Sure is chatty today. Yeah. Want to share? No. Show everybody's shoes. Anyway, let's just take a deep breath in and let it go. And as we stand in this place, we stand in this place of power. We stand in this place of authority. For the breath that we breathe is the breath of God, is the only breath that is. And we are one with that power. We are one with that breath. We are one with that beingness. And so it's in this knowingness that we each decide today to stand in our power, to set our boundaries, to not roll over, to be in it, to not be afraid to speak up and declare that I am enough, I deserve, and I am worth it. Today, we take our power back and we allow ourselves to soar and to be all that we were placed here to be. And so no longer are we standing on the sideline. No longer are we being the meek and mild. No longer are we allowing others to walk over us. We are saying yes when we want to say yes. We are saying no when we want to say no. We are being our authentic selves and being the greatness that we are. And so I'm celebrating each and every one of us today for deciding to be who you were placed here to be. I'm lifting each and every one of us up, knowing that there is greatness, and there's even more greatness within us. And we're allowing it to be seen. We're allowing it to flow. We're allowing it to be shared with the world. And so I'm giving thanks. I'm giving so much thanks as I allow it to be. And I seal this by saying, Ashe, Amen. And so it is.
That was easy. Well, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Are you gonna play the
Yeah.
song?
Yes.
I will be open at, yeah. I want it first. Yeah. Oh, okay, well, thank you, okay. Just, okay.
I know the weight feels heavy now, like the world is pulling you down. You're standing in the pouring rain, trying to hide all of your pain. You've been fighting battles no one sees, drowning in the doubt you can't set free. But even when you feel alone, there's a light to lead you home. Take a breath, don't be afraid. You are stronger than yesterday. Don't give up, don't let go. Even when the road feels cold, you are stronger than you know. There's more to come, you're not alone. Hold on tight, just believe there's a reason for the pain you see. Don't give up, don't give in. This is not the way it is. tells a story true, proof of everything you've made it through. The darkest nights, they test your heart, but they don't mean you've come this far to fall apart. You were made for so much more, and though it's hard to see the shore, every wave will pass in time, and you will rise, you will shine. Take a breath, don't be afraid. You are stronger than yesterday. Don't give up, don't let